Also, some folks in the brokerage accounts turned on share lending, meaning the brokers can lend their shares out and they get a small, uh, interest payment to their account for it. And they're noticing almost immediately their NextBridge shares were lent out. Now, who would be borrowing NextBridge shares when there's no market? Why? What type of weirdness results in that? It's it seems pretty counterproductive to like borrow shares that you can't sell, therefore you cannot short. So that's proving right now that there are shorts out there for the stock. The fact that people's shares are being borrowed. That seems like more than enough evidence to show that there's shenanigans going on. Chicanery, hijinks, horsing around. So, Tyler Parsons, we keep hearing it's illegal to have short positions on private company, but now that it's the case, who enforces it? When does it get enforced? What is the penalty? Feels like nothing's happening. That's the big thing, is that we have to initiate the drive to do these things. Remember, someone at the SEC for like a decade was saying, hey, Bernie Madoff has a Ponzi scheme. He's not doing any trades. He's listing all these trades that he's doing. He's not actually like trading anything, and he doesn't own anything. We might want to look into this. And for years and years and years and years, no one did anything about it until the Ponzi scheme finally failed. Now, if there had been investors in Bernie Madoff made aware of this, and they were knocking on the doors of senators and congressmen about, hey, look into this, do something for me, then maybe something would have been done sooner. But it took the absolute collapse of the Ponzi scheme for anything to happen. And we need to be much more proactive and remain that way for a very long period of time to bug these people. And it's I think it's starting to work. We have some Congress people who are getting back to folks in the movement saying, hey, I'm going to look into this. I just got contacted by someone from CNN about talking about this with them. So, we're getting out there. We're going to get the news out there. The big problem is that it's not really easy to put into, a 700-word article in the New York Times. It takes a much larger format to explain how this all works to people. And we got to figure out ways to kind of put it into sound bites. They're counterfeiting shares. They're making shares up and selling them to the market, and people are buying them unwittingly. Boom. That could be the basis for the entire argument that's happening. We have dove so deep over the last 2 years into how these FTDs form, how they get hidden, how they get moved around, how they, make up fake deep out of the money puts and calls for pretending like they're able to cover. And we're gonna see some weird stuff happen after the 20th, when those like 50-cent puts on GME vanish. Like, how are they going to spend the money to pretend like they can cover these positions? We have to do a better job. I mean, not everyone can sit down for 2 hours and listen to me yik yak about something. And a lot of people just go and tune out, which is why I don't have like 55 million subscribers on YouTube, is because we're a long-winded bunch. It takes a long time to describe what's going on, and we got to do it over and over because humans don't quite absorb everything the first time. You talk about it, they go, okay, totally cool. And then their brain just deletes it. And a week later, you talk about it again. They go, oh, yeah, cool. And like 2 things stick, and the brain deletes everything else. And a week later, you talk about it again. And you just do that over and over and over until finally, for a large portion of humanity, it sticks well enough that they can pretty much understand it, and they can go from there. and not everyone is the best at translating that jargon that some bro on a trading floor would understand into language that the average person can go, oh, all right, okay, I'm picking up what you're laying down. So that's a big part of it, is we have to be able to describe it to those who would be doing the enforcing, like members of Congress. We have to make sure there's a record available, because let's say we complain to the SEC, we complain to FINRA, we complain to Congress, all these things, and 10 years down the line, something finally happens, right? Where there's a big collapse, and then someone goes, hey, these 65,000 shareholders of this weird NextBridge stock, they were onto this ahead of everybody else. All these GME guys were onto this, and no one was listening. There's a complete failure in how we regulate, and these people were waving their hands and screaming the entire time, and we ignored them. And maybe we should change how we regulate these things and perhaps adopt methods that can listen to these folks and follow through. Not everything happens at once. Not everyone wants to take on our burden, right? We're 65,000 people going, hey, something's going wrong. But we do need a champion inside of that regulatory body to go, you know what? Something is going wrong, and I'm going to do something about it. And finding that person, that bureaucrat, that elected official to actually follow through and take on our cause is hard. And it's going to take us being really loud, really annoying, and really relentless. So be those things. Get out there. Talk people's ears off. Be annoying as heck. There we go. Okay. Okay. Trade never happens again. Will the need to raise liquidity make our next British shares plummet? I don't know. Because right now they don't need to raise anything. They've got a loan from one of the large investors. Is that dude's name Martin or something? Starts with an M, right, Monkey? The guy that owned the other half of the oil field. He gave like $20 million so we can continue drilling. And there's been no pressure to get that paid back. Acme Parent Company did the same thing to make sure that oil wells could be drilled to maintain the leases. So there's no need at the moment to raise cash. I think if I were these guys, I think the big thing to do would be to sell. Just sell the oil fields, someone big, for an incredible amount of money. Count your dollar bills and move on. That would absolutely destroy shorts, because we're talking, tens or hundreds of dollars for hundreds of millions or billions of shares that they're responsible for. And that kind of money does not come quickly. That will hurt. It won't hurt as much as forcing them to close in the open market, which would be much more delicious. I would much rather see what kind of cash I can get for my shares in a market. But I don't think NextBridge at the moment is pressed too hard to have to raise cash. They're okay for at least a year, maybe two, before they'll have to raise cash. McCabe, thank you, McCabe. There's like Hain Train. Should we do a donation for Rosa? She's not asked for it specifically yet. You can send her money via Venmo. Her Venmo is Rosa to Will. Just Rosa, one word, Rosa to Will. And so if you want to send her things there, when I get my YouTube check, I'm going to send her the money you guys sent me when she was on our show. And if she needs it, she'll probably set something up, a legal defense fund or something. But she also is selling paintings of her cat Sashimi on eBay, I believe. So look for those. If I have a link, I'll post it on my YouTube or my Twitter. I'll post it on YouTube also. I'll ask her if there's a link for those. So you can buy paintings of her kitty cat. She loves that cat so much. That cat is her entire world. He seems like a funny little dude also. So I'd look for that. But you know, she, if it progresses further beyond just her injunctive relief and becomes a long protracted legal battle, it's going to get expensive. Not only be expensive in that she'll have to like show up in person to Tallahassee. You're looking at getting hotel or motel rooms, paying for expert witnesses, trying to process discovery. These things get really expensive, and she will need some sort of backing. So if it comes to that, I'm sure we could definitely organize something to help her out. Uh, there's 64,000 people who, if all of us send a few dollars, could easily pay for the litigation, or at least a good chunk of it, to the point where FINRA goes, "Oh crap, these people have essentially this person has essentially bottomless pockets from the backers that are fighting for this. This is gonna hurt." So yeah, when it comes down to it, we'll get it done. I don't know if there'll be a way via YouTube to do it, because it has to be a registered nonprofit for us to do like donations specifically via YouTube. So right now, if you just feel like sending her a few bucks, Venmo is a great way to do it. Um, and she won't be like, "Oh my god, don't send me money." She'll totally appreciate it, because she does have like 12 clients of her own that she has to constantly be working for all day, and then she gets home and she's working till 2, 3 in the morning on this own case of herself. It's exhausting. It is really, really, really hard to like keep your mental space going for something like this, and it's very stressful. I don't bemoan the fact that she's under some pressure, and she's a total Type A personality, so she wants to just nail it 100%. She wants to be better than anyone that she's against. She wants to know more and do a better job. So she will definitely run herself ragged on this, and you know, knowing that we have her back, I think is a lot right now for her. Lily's Grandma Abel. I've heard of other CEOs speaking out against shorts. Why isn't George P? He has. He's one of the few guys who have spoken out against them. It's just right now there might be legal action pending, and he won't be able to talk about it if there's legal action pending. Big Vic, if Rose's lawsuit succeeds and during discovery it is confirmed that counterfeit shares were used, do you think NextBridge will sue FINRA? Uh, I would guess that NextBridge will sue everybody, because why not? Like if it's discovered that all these counterfeit shares are out there, sue the brokers who allowed it, who enabled it, sue the regulators who enabled it, and sue the short hedge funds who legally did it. They broke the law by selling naked and generating FTDs. They're responsible for the crime, and the regulators are responsible for enabling that crime. So sue them all, get settlements out of all of them, and use that to drill some new wells.